Unit Story Number 2, Chakrabarthi Divine Dragon, Nirvana. The people rejoiced throughout planet Cray. The holy dragon had awoken. It was the birth of a new era, one of great hope. The sun shone brightly in the heavens, and upon the earth sat the great being itself, for the first time in a new age. Ah, what a figure that divine being struck as it soared through the heavens. How beautiful was the ring that it bore upon its back. All prayers were being fulfilled. Behold, the descent of the Chakrabarthi divine dragon. Reno, watch out! Rona shouted. Reno staggered as she was pulled out of the way. A covered wagon filled to the brim with cargo passed right by them. There was a spring festival happening that day in the town of Two Reason. The roads were heaving with people and wagons. "It's not like you to be so distracted," Zane observed as she adjusted Reno's male clothing that she wore as a disguise. She kept her eye on Reno, her hand on her arm. Clearly, she didn't think she was herself. "This isn't like walking through the fields like we did yesterday. You have to be careful, Reno." "I'm sorry, Ryu's words seemed to snap Reno out of her daydream. The sun was directly above them, noon. Two Reason lay just to the west of the heart of the Dragon Empire. It was a relatively large town that straddled a major highway. The highway ran from west to east through the town and connected the imperial capital to the east with the Keter Sanctuary to the west, so there was always a lot of traffic. The harbor was built into an inlet with deep waters, which made it ideal for both shipping and fishing. To the north were the Dragonia Mountains, where you could find the Red Dawn Manor, the Four Maidens' home. A vast forest lay to the west. To the east, one would find the mountains known locally as the Dragon's Jaws, beyond which stretched an arid wasteland known as the Dangerous Zone. Such a variety of climates surrounding the town meant that the people and cargo that entered it was just as diverse. "I have everyone's clothes. They're used, but still in good condition. Oh, and we'll have to hide the egg in this canvas," Trickstar said as it brought out one of the large bags they saw being carted earlier that morning. "You did pay for that, didn't you?" Rona asked. "Of course. I got it for a good price. Here." "Hey, that's a lot of change. What did you tell them when you bought it?" asked Reno. "Well, something like I'm a spirit that got separated from its four companions. You know, a sob story." "And the shopkeeper bought that?" Ryu brought her hand to her forehead. She could all too easily picture Trickstar spinning its yarn to the poor old shopkeeper. "Teehee, the shopkeeper was a really kind old man." Wait, you're a spirit? You realize spirits don't exactly just show up at the local store running errands, right?" chided Zane. Both valid questions. "I told you, didn't I? I was just born out there among the stars. I have no idea what I am. I just know that I want to grant everyone's wishes, so I did. What's wrong with that?" The mysterious little prankster that had decided to join Reno, Ryu, Zane, and Rona flashed the sighing maidens a mischievous smile. At their feet ran the little sunrise egg, covered in a white canvas to make it the spitting image of Trickstar. "So, why do we have to wear boys' clothes?" asked Rona. Her hands were full of goods that she'd bought from the town, just like the other maidens. The maidens had kept their original traveling cloaks, but underneath they wore men's clothes that Trickstar had found for them. Without the ornaments in their hair, they could easily be mistaken for four male travelers. "This is a bustling port town. If you're going shopping among all those rough sailor types, a male disguise is the safest, or so I thought." The plan had backfired. Reno couldn't help but smile at everyone they met. Zane seemed to be the most comfortable in the men's clothes. Rona still somehow gave off a cute vibe, and Ryu looked as dignified as always. There was no doubt that they were a little out of touch with the world. Not surprising for four Blaze Maidens of the Red Dawn Manor. And with their two companions robed in white cloaks, Sunrise Egg and Trickstar, they were getting a lot of attention from the locals. I'm sorry, everyone, said the Trickstar. It seemed disappointed, in its own way, from failing to help the Blaze Maidens achieve their goal of discovering the truth of the world in as unobtrusive as way as possible. It's fine, this is just the start of what will surely be a long journey. We're going to need as many sturdy clothes as we can get. Reno comforted the Trickstar, and the Sunrise Egg jumped around at their feet, seemingly in agreement. Thank you, Reno. This is the town square. You're going to the festival, aren't you? Most towns had a spring festival around that time of year. Reason was no exception, with people from all around coming to enjoy the festivities. And as people opened stores and stalls for the occasion, it made the whole town feel bigger. Hold on. Reno noticed someone pulling on the sleeve of her cloak and looked down to see a small girl of about 3 or 4 years old. She knelt down to talk to her. The child, dressed in light summery clothes, would not let go of the cloak. Are you alone? Where are your parents? Asked Runa. Oh, she must be lost. Would you like some candy? Zane lifted the girl up. The girl clung tightly to her neck. The crowd is so noisy, your parents probably won't hear you. Let's wait here, suggested Ryu. The festival seemed to start on its own. There were already people playing music and dancing in the square. The maidens smiled at each other. Festivals were at the heart of a Blaze Maiden's life. How could they not feel a little exhilarated? It was then a sound rang through the hustle and bustle of the festival. What was that? They all turned to the south end of the square at Reno's exclamation. There seemed to be a dispute over some cargo. A fight? Asked Runa. But she was wrong. The maidens soon worked it out. A tall man in a blue cloak was persuading his underlings to rob a couple. They were already causing trouble. Daddy! Mommy! The girl leaned over Zane's shoulder and shouted at the couple. Huh? Are they your parents? Zane asked her. When Reno looked into the little girl's tear-filled eyes, she could hear her cries for help in her mind. She had no choice but to try. As they watched on, the thugs became more violent, beating the father and kicking the mother. Glittering jewels fell from the luggage as the thugs were trying to steal. The girl's parents must have been jewel merchants in town for the festival. Whatever the case may have been, the maidens couldn't let them get away with this theft. Something boiled up from deep within Reno, and she couldn't repress it anymore. It was an inexplicable feeling, a mixture of anger with something else. All of a sudden, Reno began to push through the waves of people. Cries came from all around. Her friends' shouting from behind came through faintly to her. Reno! Reno! Listen to us, Reno! Reno had come to a standstill some distance from the poor couple. Someone was shouting at her. Listen, it's me, Trickstar! Reno huffed as someone put a hand out to prevent her from moving. This behavior was completely unlike her. She was normally the most level-headed of the maidens. Trickstar floated just above her head in its white cloak. Sunrise Egg was riding on Trickstar's back. The canvas disguise had blown away. Hey, we're here to help. Why don't you try praying? Praying? Yeah, you're a Blaze Maiden, aren't you? Don't you guys listen to people's needs? Then pray that they get it? We do, but I don't have time. Reno, just trust me. Trickstar's forceful tone seemed to finally get through to Reno. Reno put her hands around and started to pray, even as she got buffeted around by the waves of people around her. Protect the little girl's parents. Let her smile again. They're calling for help. Please. The next moment, Reno's body suddenly felt lighter. Everyone around her shouted in surprise. She began to float into the air, lifted up by a strong arm. Hey Reno, that was a good prayer. I think I'm gonna grant that wish. The voice that came from above sounded like Trickstar, but also like something else. Trickstar? Reno looked up and saw a huge, winged figure. I am Virina. That is the name that came to me as I formed, but I shall explain more later. Go! Virina leaped to the other side of the square in a single bound and swept the thugs away with a swing of its arm. Reno took Sunrise Egg, who was still riding on Virina's back, and chased down the man in the blue cloak. He was standing on top of a blue, tent-like structure set up in the square. Virina was protecting Reno. Reno was overwhelmed by the sense that she could trust him. The taking of another's property without permission is a crime. You must return all stolen goods to the rightful owner. What kind of highfalutin nonsense is that? I was only borrowing the stuff. Of course, I wasn't really thinking I would... Hey, you're a girl. Reno hurried to straighten up her clothes. After rushing through the crowd and being carried by Virina, her collar had gotten loose. He took a look at Reno as he held the bag of jewels and laughed, causing Reno's anger to boil over. Flames appeared around her hands and feet, and from her hair, and around her slim body. Fire magic, but you're just a little girl. That's right, and this little girl is here to cleanse the world of scum like you. The Blaze Maidens dance is an incredibly tough skill to master, requiring years of grueling practice. It is a way to give praise to the Holy Sun Dragon, and also happens to surround the dancer's body in flames. The Blaze Maiden Reno was covered in flames, and as she danced, they shot out at the man in the blue cloak. Take that! The man quickly jumped back to avoid the flames. Something now stood between him and Reno. The blue tent-like structure that he was standing in front of turned out to actually be a dragon. Protect me, Recusal Hate Dragon. Reno's flames hit the blue dragon and were immediately extinguished. Recusal Hate Dragon let out a mighty roar, causing all the festival goers to scream out in unison. Ugh! Not so easy to clean away this scum after all. What's wrong? Scared? The man scoffed at Reno. She felt embarrassed by her carelessness. Recusal Hate Dragon was resistant to magic. She needed more power than she possessed to overcome this foe or try a different tactic. If only her friends were here, but no. Her friends were far behind her in the crowd. She was alone. Reno was not strong enough. Not yet. Her anger made her forget her weakness for a moment, and she had ended up in a battle with a man who could control a dragon. This was the first, and certainly one of the greatest failures in her life since becoming a Blaze Maiden and protecting her only dragon egg. I know what you're thinking. You can't defeat me with your pathetic little flames. The man's words struck the shaken Reno. You can do it. Use everyone's wishes to fuel your flames. I know you can. Virina's words gave Reno courage. You're a clever little thing. I guess I'll have to take care of the both of you. The man in the blue cloak signaled for his underlings to perform around him. Then, get out! The inaudible voices of the crowd in the square arose. Don't ruin the festival. Begone, scoundrel. Keep it up, maidens. Reno was urged on by the thoughts and prayers of those around her. Sunrise Egg stood up in front of Reno. It was now trying to protect the very Blaze Maiden tasked with protecting it. Sunrise Egg? No. Divine Dragon? Virina's voice cut through Reno's confusion. Reno, you have to pray. That is what maidens do, is it not? She started praying, this time without anger. She converted the prayers coming from Trickstar/Virina and from the crowd into the square into power. The flames that had been wrapping around her arms, legs, and slim body swirled into a great vortex. I shall answer your prayers. Virina created a whirlwind from behind Reno and launched towards Recusal Hate Dragon. Virina grabbed at the jaws of the howling dragon, and in the blink of an eye swung it around and slammed it to the ground. The whole square shook as Recusal Hate Dragon smashed into the cobblestone street. At the first sign of resistance from the dragon, Virina positioned its sword at the dragon's throat and placed the knee on its stomach. Trickstar/Virina seemingly knew that the softest and weakest part of any dragon was its throat and stomach. Recusal Hate Dragon let out a hollow cry, then closed its eyes and went limp. It had fainted. I don't believe this. Who are you? How is it you have defeated me? I told you, did I not? The people's prayers for all to be set right gave me the strength to overcome your evil. That is how I beat you. The man in blue and his underlings had lost the will to resist. Virina pushed them to the ground and tied them up using rope that was being used for the festival. The crowd, which had until now been watching with bated breath, erupted in cheers. Thank you, Virina. Reno thanked her new friend, still feeling a little stunned. That was when, with a pop, Virina transformed back into Trickstar. You're welcome. I'd say we did a pretty good job. Sunrise Egg was standing in front of Reno. You did pretty well too. Reno patted the egg. It seemed to be happy. Then Reno looked around. She saw the people in the square, a girl reunited with her parents, her maiden sisters rushing over with the luggage, and the egg that was before her had become something else entirely. Ah, what a figure that divine being struck as it soared through the heavens. How beautiful was the ring that it bore upon its back. All prayers were being fulfilled. Behold, the return of the Chakrabarthi divine dragon. Reno, I should have known you'd be lazing around. Rona's voice rang out across the square. Reno still had her eyes closed and was still kneeling on the ground. She was so overcome with emotion she couldn't stop shaking. Something touched her hands as she prayed. It was Sunrise Egg's head. Huh? Reno came to. It must have been a vision. Something only she could see. Here, this is yours, Reno. Oh, it looks like that girl found her parents. Reno already knew that. We don't have time to dither, Reno. We have to go. Or have you forgotten that we're supposed to be subtle in our quest for the truth? Rebuked Ryu. It was quite a performance, wasn't it? Observed Trickstar. Trickstar, I think you're getting too into the spirit. Okay, drawled Trickstar. Well, I suppose we should thank you for saving Reno. Ryu gave Trickstar a rare compliment. Even Sunrise Egg seemed to be surprised by it. Teehee, let's get going. Our adventure must continue. Trickstar led the way to the gates of the town. Okay, follow me, quick. Reno picked up her luggage, then ran to join her companions. The tale of 4 Blaze Maidens dressed as men, Sunrise Egg, and the Trickstar that turned into Virina, is one of that the townsfolk of Two Reason would tell each other for years to come. The sun began to set, bathing the town in its warm glow. The end. Terminology notes. Chakrabarthi Divine Dragon Nirvana. A holy sun dragon that Sunrise Egg transforms into. The Chakrabarthi Divine Dragon Nirvana has spent the last 3,000 years collecting the hopes and prayers of the people of planet Cray. It has the potential to become a great deity. However, it seems that it is not yet time for it to truly awaken.